slow car fast is not cope. The percentage of time that I'm going to be full throttle in this section is so much higher in a slow car. All the way. Power is the enemy. The slower the car, the more often you can use the power. Every time you have to lift in a car because you're going faster than is reasonable is a waste of time. I'm gonna throw up a quick clip of me on this exact road in a genuinely fast car. And look, you hold the accelerator down. You're doing 100 miles an hour immediately. It's just dumb. When you drive a car like this, you can actually enjoy the performance. And it's not cope, it's genuine enjoyment. Look, I drop a gear, I pitch the car in at 60, I use the throttle, I have to brake, the car moves around, I use the throttle coming out. It's so enjoyable, actually, being forced to wring the engine out. Coming into a corner like this is my favorite moment. You smash on the brakes, you pitch through the corner, you're full throttle. Being able to go full throttle without huge consequences. I'm not gonna lose my license. I'm not gonna light the rear tires up so much that I'm gonna die. Driving a genuinely fast car in those circumstances on these roads, it's just not that enjoyable. Padlocked and hamstringed and cucked. You actually have to work it. You can't just ride a wave of torque. You need to use the gearbox. You have to change gears as you approach corners. You want to do it anyway because it's fun and enjoyable and interactive. But you also have to. So that means you get forced to get good at it. You get forced to be able to brake and change gears at the same time. That's called heel and toe. Because you're trying to extract the power, but that makes you a better driver. It's more satisfying. It's more enjoyable. There's no feeling like it. The only feeling that compares is driving a genuinely fast car hard. But you can't do that on the road. This range of power is endgame for enjoying a car on the road. More power makes this experience worse. Everyone who has not had a fast car will say it's cope. And then once you've had a fast car, you will be pining for exactly what I'm experiencing right now. Slow cars also generally are gonna have skinnier tires and lower limits of grip. And as a result, they give you more feedback. Every input in this car communicates with me. The throttle is heavy and interactive. Every time I change gear, it's snickety and nice. The brakes dive the car and there's feedback in the pedal. I can smell when I enter different areas. The chassis moves around. And best of all, the steering communicates. Look at how it's wiggling and jiggling. That's called texture. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you might know I believe the steering is the most important part of a car. If I go through this bump, the steering is alive. It's telling me things. When I go through the corner, it gets heavier, it weighs up. It's super sharp. It's delicious. The reason the communication is important is because it gives confidence. Anyone can jump into this car and drive it hard. My wife often does. A car that gives feedback and communicates is automatically more enjoyable and safer to drive fast. It's not going to catch you out because the car is telling you how much grip you have. This is a driving experience you just don't get in fast cars. It really is special. There's another really important thing to talk about when it comes to slow car fast, and that is location. All those clips you just saw with the roof down are my commute to the office. I am very, very fortunate to live in a place with a lot of country roads where slow car fast makes a ton of sense. We're also generally very lucky in the UK because on these country roads we have a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. I was driving in my absolute favorite way, which is to drive spiritedly, but just kissing the speed limit. Sometimes French kissing, but that's okay. If you live in a city, especially if you live in America, and within 2 hours of you, every road is a grid pattern and is straight, this starts to make less sense. Even if you live with somewhere with curvy roads, say you live in Switzerland, you've got the Alps, it's beautiful, but they are militant on speeding, and you don't have speed limits as generous as ours, this also starts to make less sense. And yes, to an extent, you can have slow car fast-ish experiences, even in a city at 30 miles an hour, but I think where it makes the most sense is when you've got situations you can actually wring the car out. That's where it's really enjoyable, that's where it's really fun. The other reason speed limits are so important for spirited driving on the road is because if you guys have like super low speed limits, I know a lot of countries this would be a 40-mile-an-hour road, 45 maybe. If your speed limits are such that basically to have any fun, you have to break the law, then there's a case to be made that if you're breaking the law, you might as well really break the law, and then the whole slow car fast thing kind of falls apart, in my opinion. Slow car fast also does work on track. You can have a ton of fun in a slow car on track, while an MX-5 is one of the best teachers on planet Earth. You'll get quite quickly to a point where you can kind of drive this car to its limit and everyone else on the track day is much faster than you, which ends up being a touch frustrating. Another thing that's really important when it comes to slow car fast is budget. And I specifically left this until the end of the video because every other video I've made about this topic, I've spoken about budget first. And what then ends up happening is everybody in the comments just talks about budget. People will say things like, oh, well, you know, the fast cars are too expensive for you. Haha, poor. First of all, for people that can only own one car, only want to own one car, can only afford one car, only have space for one car, you got to make some compromises. Slow car fast is going to be tough for you to achieve because I'm having to run a significant amount of noise cancellation on the audio in this video for you to be able to hear me. You wouldn't want to live like this every day, go into work, go in to get shopping. Like, this is quite annoying. If you only have one car, the budget thing isn't really worth talking about because just go and buy the best car you can buy. Probably the one with the most power or the one you like the look of the most. Any car that's going to give you a true slow car fast experience is going to be a bit miserable to drive every day. Okay, the budget thing then comes in once you've got multiple cars and you're trying to run all of them and you're trying to get value for money in all your different segments. I think if you're looking at buying a second car, the second car should be an MX-5, a BMW Z4, a true sports car experience. If you've already got a daily driver, a normal car, a Golf, let's say, and you go and buy a car with a ton of power, I think you're going to be disappointed because the driving experience is going to be very similar to your commuter car. A lot of them are just normal cars with a big engine. It's not going to give you the experience that you want if you're a petrol head and you enjoy driving and you want this. The budget to run one of these cars is honestly a joke. The tires are cheap, it gets good fuel economy, it doesn't break down, they're cheap to insure. If you want to modify them, they're cheap to modify. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing having a car that's a toy not cost a lot to run. The price to enjoyment ratio on an MX-5 is off the fucking charts. I truly think you can only do worse than an MX-5 for price to enjoyment. Almost anything else will cost more and give a worse experience. MX-5 is like the pinnacle of enjoying driving for cheap. My name's Mick. I drive cars. Peace.